everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Amina. I'll talk a little bit about my academic experience today, and it's going to be a bit of a chatty one, so grab yourself your favourite beverage to enjoy whilst you listen to me chat about my experience and how I managed to complete my PhD at the age of 25. In the UK, we finish high school, or secondary school we call it here, at the age of 16 years old, and that is the end of sort of compulsory education. We come out of secondary school with our GCSEs. These are sort of your high school qualifications. Then you either go on to a college or a sixth form, or you can go into the workforce. So I went to a sixth form, and you're 16 years old then, and then you do 2 years, so 16 to 18. And I did A levels, so I did biology, chemistry, maths and English lit. Now I always knew that I wanted to do something in the sciencey field. I guess growing up I always thought medicine, purely because that was all I knew really. I thought science, biology, medicine, doctor, that's all I sort of knew. But as I kind of progressed through my education, and I realized that actually there's so much more out there than just do medicine, and I was in a very competitive school where everyone wanted to do medicine. I think that really put me off, the competitiveness of it, and sort of how people will sort of lie about how much revision they did, and they'll sort of lie about how, you know, how they're applying for things, or the fact that they are even applying for things. There'd be sort of courses on the side that people will be doing but not telling other people they're doing it, and I just didn't appreciate that sort of competitiveness of the degree, and that was just kind of getting into it, and I didn't even want to think about what it'd be like actually doing the degree. I opted against applying for medicine, and I ended up applying for biochemistry. And the reason why I did was I kind of thought, actually, you know what, I really enjoy biology and I really enjoyed chemistry in A level. I think in my first year I was sort of like, I think in my first year of my A levels, I didn't really kind of get it, to be completely honest. I didn't understand chemistry in the way that I feel like I should have. But then in the second year I had a really good teacher, and it just clicked. I did really well in my second year. But you know what, I really enjoy chemistry and I really enjoy biology, and I did some research and I found biochem as a potential course that I could go into. I also considered like optometry. I considered what else did I consider? I considered like other kind of sciencey, I think pharmacy as well, but in the end I decided to go for biochem. And I applied for biochem and I got into King's College London, and I started there. So when I started there I was 18. So I started at King's College London, and I really enjoyed my course. It's a 3-year course, and I actually started with an intercalated year as the plan, but as time went I decided against it. And I kind of regret that decision, I'm not going to lie. I regret not doing an intercalated year, purely because I think experience, now that I'm like in the outside world, I think experience trumps academic by far. Everybody nowadays has a degree, everybody nowadays has a master's, people now have PhDs, so what really distinguishes you from everybody else is what experience you can bring to the table. So I kind of wish I did that, and also it was paid, so I think you were paid like 20 something thousand, so that would have been really good. That could have helped me pay for my masters as well, and on top of that you could potentially end up with a job in that company. So people go into places like GSK, Unilever, like different sort of pharmaceuticals, and sort of this like kind of, yeah, that kind of industry, I guess, for biochem, and that would have given me maybe a bounce to go into industry straight away, as opposed to maybe going through academia and sort of the way that I did now. So I kind of regret not doing it. So I'd highly recommend, if you are at that stage and you're thinking about doing an intercalated year, it's just a year. And I think at the time I thought, I want to graduate with everybody else, I don't want to be a year behind, but actually people were still looking for jobs, you know, 2-3 years after graduating. So a year really is nothing in the grand scheme of things. I think it's very valuable to be able to do that during that year. So yes, I finished my undergrad, and again at the end of the undergrad people were applying for graduate medicine. So again there were people in my course who were like, you know, that did biochem or biomed or one of these bioscience courses, and we wanted to go into medicine or dentistry. So there was like massive cohort of students who were like pushing towards that. In the end I decided that I wanted to do a master's, and it was sort of like going down a road of, I don't know what to do next, but I haven't finished what I'm doing now. It was sort of that mentality where I know that I haven't finished academia, I know that I want to learn more, I know that I want to find out more, and I haven't even touched the surface yet, but I don't actually know what I would do if I didn't continue. So it was a kind of a matter of sort of, I want to continue with education, and I don't have an alternative option as well. So it's sort of two sides to that. So then I did a master's and I applied to Imperial. I could have continued at King's, and I think they had like bursaries and scholarships and stuff, but I kind of wanted this change of scene. I wanted to go to a new university. Obviously, as you know, Imperial is an amazing university, really prestigious, and I just wanted to try somewhere new. I love the location. It's in South Kent, it's in West London, and I just thought it'd be nice to go somewhere different. And also the course was different. So the one in Imperial was an MRes, so a Masters of Research. So it's 12 months, kind of research for 12 months, purely lab-based research for 12 months. Whereas the King's one was a Masters of Science, MSc, which was sort of like a 4th year of university, with like 6 weeks or something of research. And I really wanted the research side of things, so I decided to go for the MRes. And so when I started that, I was 21. So 3 years at university, then 21 years old when I started my master's. So most people at 21 are out of university and they start, their careers. So by the time they're like 30, they've been in a job for almost 10 years. Whereas me went down the PhD route. So by the time I'm 30, I just started a career kind of thing. So I think there are kind of positives and negatives to doing a PhD or staying in academia. So that's something to bear in mind. 1 year full-time course, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the experience of being in a lab and being in sort of essentially what is a PhD, except you're a master's student. And it gave me a really good insight as to what it'd be like being a PhD student. I did 6 months in a sort of cancer research lab, and then I did 6 months in a neuroscience lab, and I enjoyed both of them thoroughly. Like, I loved both labs. I had amazing supervisors, amazing teams, very different experiences. One was sort of more structured. I had to be there from 9 to 5. The other one was a lot free. Like, I didn't even see the supervisor much. He was amazing, but I didn't see him that much. It was sort of on me to plan and ensure that I was productive and got my work done. So very different experiences, and it gave me an insight as to what doing a PhD would be like. And I was surrounded by PhD students at the time as well. So I was speaking to a lot of PhD students, lots of postdocs, and I decided actually I really enjoy research and I want to have another couple of years doing this. So I ended up applying for PhDs. I applied everywhere. The way that PhDs work in the UK is you start on the program having done a master's. I mean, there's different programs, but the one that I started with is you've done your master's already and you now come straight onto the PhD. So I know that sort of in like America, you kind of come into it and you do sort of preliminary work leading up to the PhD, or you might do some work in different labs and then decide where you want to go. Whereas with the one that I did, you kind of come onto a fixed project. There is no option to sort of do different projects. You're there with a fixed grant, a fixed sort of project. So the funding is for 3 years, and luckily my supervisor sort of saved money throughout, so he was able to fund me for the 4th year to write the thesis. So it was up to me whether I wanted the 4th year or not, but really fundamentally it was funded for 3 years. Masters 21 to 22, and then PhD 22 to 25, and that's that. Having looked back at my experience, would I change anything? No, I mean, I really enjoyed it, but I think I would do some things differently. I definitely would, like I said, have taken that intercalated year in my undergrad. I think it would have definitely given me a step up. Also, I think I would have kind of taken a lot more initiative to trying different things during my education. I think I was quite focused and fixed on research and academia that I didn't really think about what else is out there. So if you are someone who is currently going through your university experience and don't necessarily know where you're going to end up, which is absolutely fine, take risks, try things out. Your current space will always be there. I think one thing that I always kind of thought was I don't have time to do X, Y, Z. When actually looking back at it now, there's a lot of time to do other things on the side. When I look at my friends who did go into other fields, like I said, like paralegals or like sort of business consultants, they were trying things out. They were trying different avenues out, speaking to people, connecting, networking, going to events, going to different sort of societies. And I wasn't doing that as much. And that's definitely one thing that I think I would change if I can go back now, because who knows where that would have led me. I may have continued where I am now, or I might have decided, actually, you know what, I really enjoy X, Y, Z, and gone down a different route. So yeah, that was my experience, and that's how I graduated at 25. Well, not graduated, but that's how I completed my PhD at 25. So if you are in the UK, it's very possible. In fact, you can graduate a little bit earlier at 24 because some PhDs don't require masters. So you can actually go straight from undergrad to PhD at 21. There's that. But it's quite rare, and I wouldn't recommend it purely because I feel like you need to gain some sort of experience, and a master's really is that sort of bridge between the undergrad and the PhD. So I wouldn't recommend going straight into it, even if you have the opportunity, because I feel like you'll kind of struggle a little bit. The jump is quite high, but that's how you do it. So if you are an American, and I know that Americans are like 35 when they finish their PhD, which is absolutely fine. That's just how we do it here in the UK. I don't know if I think it's a bit different. The way that we see PhDs here in the UK is a little bit different. PhDs here are still seen as sort of students. We're still seen as students, essentially, like research assistants, except glorified a little bit. I think the way in America PhDs are viewed is a little bit different. It's a bit more like staff, a bit more like faculty, whereas here it's definitely not like that. But do let me know what your experience is. If you're a PhD student in a different part of the world, let me know what your experience is like being a PhD student. Sort of, are you seen as a student, or are you seen as sort of a member of staff? Because I think it does make a huge difference how you're viewed, and sort of how long maybe it takes to complete a PhD as a result of your sort of status in the university. I think I've covered everything. Do let me know if you have any questions about my experience or how I got to where I got to, and I'll definitely answer your questions down below. So do leave me any questions and I'll get to them as soon as I can. And let me know your experience. If you finished your PhD at 25 as well, or even later, let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.